Hey everyone, off the Mike Sports Network here. Another reaction video to the CFP quarterfinal round. We are down to 4. We started with 12. We are now down to what was the 12. What was before this 12-team playoff? We had the 4-team playoff. We got two semifinals coming up in a week's time. It's going to be Texas and Ohio State, and Penn State and Notre Dame. Now, in a previous video, I talked about how everybody wanted SEC and the brands to be represented in this playoff. I am telling you right now, I don't even care if it's SEC. These college football playoff executives and the people at ESPN are going nuts because you have got Ohio State and the storyline that they are and the brand that they are going up against Texas. Are you kidding me? That's insane. That is nuts. And then you've got Penn State and Notre Dame, two teams who haven't won it at a high level, but have tradition, power, brands, and huge fan bases left in this thing, playing on a big stage for a chance to go play for a national title. That is going to be, the ratings are going to be freaking insane for this. This is a dream for college football. They absolutely, everybody is going to paint it, and I think it was a nightmare for the SEC throughout this whole thing, even though they do have one team left, but that team wasn't in the SEC 6 months ago. That's just the reality of the situation. But still, Ohio State, Texas, shit. That is awesome. Penn State, Notre Dame, dude, that is, these matchups rule. They rule. But the one thing that I got to take away from these 4 teams is if Ohio State plays the way that they did against Oregon and Tennessee, nobody is beating them. Nobody is beating them. And then we can have a conversation. I know Ohio State fans are still angry about the Michigan game. I'm kind of still angry about it. But if Ryan Day brings Ohio State a national championship, all of that is going to be forgotten. And he'll have to go obviously rectify that mistake of losing 4 times in a row to Michigan and losing to the worst Michigan team in the last decade. Yeah. But at this point, we all owe Ryan Day an apology, I think, a little bit. And this Ohio State, I mean, some people will say Ryan Day may owe the Ohio State fan base an apology for that Michigan game. Listen, when things are in your head, it's tough to get over them. And there's, I mean, Peyton Manning had a tough time getting over Tom Brady for so many years in the Patriots. Like, there's always that Achilles heel that gets you somewhere. Now, if Ohio State, Ryan Day has beaten Michigan. He has. He just hasn't done it in 4 straight consecutive tries. So that's the thing. But my God, Ohio State's best is better than any team in the country, even of these 4 teams left. Texas is very talented, probably the second most talented team left in this field, depending on who you talk to. They're just very inconsistent. But if Ohio State plays at the level that they played at on January 1, I was in the building. That was as dominant of a half as I've ever seen played on a football field, college or pro. 34-0 until the last play of the first half. It was 34-8 at half. But Ohio State jumped out 34-0 on the number 1 team in the country. And then Tennessee, who took over their damn stadium, they were 21-0 in the first quarter. Ohio State is the best team in college football. Even forget the 8 next to them. They had some head-scratching losses. Like the Oregon game, they rectified that. The Will Howard sliding, and obviously the Dan Lanning manipulating the clock to sort of allow less time for Ohio State to potentially set up for a game-winning field goal. And then the Michigan game's the Michigan game. I was upset about it. A lot of fans were upset about it. But it honestly, that might have been the best thing that could have ever happened to this Ohio State team because it woke them up. It made them go back to basics, get back. It kept them fresh for this round because they got to play immediately. They stewed on it for 3 weeks, come out, play a dominant game. They get momentum. A couple of weeks later, they go to the Rose Bowl and play a dominant game against the team that they knew they could beat, and they let one get away. And now you're heading into a situation where you're going to Arlington, you're going to the Cotton Bowl, and this team should win it all. They should. And the only thing that's going to stop Ohio State is Ohio State. And that's what my concern is, because you saw the Michigan game where they got in their own head and they potentially just were not able to, effectively execute or call plays. But they've got, to me, a guy in Jeremiah Smith who, as a true freshman, if he were allowed to go out into the NFL draft and be a one and done, he'd be the number one pick in the draft this year. I am not exaggerating. As talented of a wide receiver as I've seen come into college football in a long, long time, that guy was just clowning dudes on Oregon's team. Almost 200 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. He was making one-handed catches. He was jumping up. He was running past people. It was amazing. Will Howard looks efficient. The running game, Travion Henderson. And then the defense under Jim Knowles has just picked it up, even though they gave up 13 points against Michigan. But this defense, really since the Oregon game where they surrendered 32 points, has been borderline just you can't score on them. You can't. Like Oregon, one of the top offenses in America, had 21 points in this game on Wednesday, on New Year's Day. Like, it's unbelievable what this Ohio State team is. I think they're going to win the national title. I honestly think that they may destroy Texas, because I'm not impressed with Texas at all. I'm not. They were up 16 points against an Arizona State team that looked completely overmatched. They allowed them to get back into the game, and they needed a 4th and 13 to rescue their season. They're talented. Don't get me wrong. And Quinn Ewers is going to be a little bit motivated for this game because Ohio State didn't want to keep him. But Quinn Ewers is frankly, a little bit overrated. I don't know if he's going to be an NFL draft prospect, or because he's not going to be the quarterback of Texas. Like, at the end of this season, no matter what Texas does, Quinn Ewers is not going to be the quarterback of this team. It's going to be Arch Manning in 2025. So, Penn State, Ohio State's already beaten them. The team that I would worry about if I'm Ohio State is Notre Dame, because Notre Dame is very physical. They've got a Buckeye running the show in Marcus Freeman. That really intimidates me a little bit as an Ohio State fan. If I were scared of one team that I wouldn't want to face in the championship, it honestly would be Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's playing as good as anybody. They haven't lost a game since week 2. So, and they pushed Georgia, a really good Georgia team, even with a backup quarterback. They pushed them around at the Sugar Bowl. So, but overall, I think Ohio State is the best team left in this thing. And if we get to the end of this thing, this season, we're all going to owe Ryan Day an apology. And we're going to look back on that 2024 Michigan loss as maybe the greatest thing to ever happen to this program, because it just woke everybody up and just got everybody to realize, hey, and it sucks because I think that rivalry means so much. But in this era of college football, you get into the playoffs, you get a ticket, 12-team playoff, you get on a run, and you go win a national championship, everything's forgiven. Maybe not everything, but I think so. So just keep your eyes peeled for that. We're going to have more content leading into the semifinals, the Cotton Bowl, and the Orange Bowl. Should be a great time here. Great time here on the channel. A lot of wrestling content. We're going to be getting into basketball as well. Cavs are 29-4 at the time of this recording, so that's very exciting. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. I will talk to you guys real soon. Bye-bye.